The drama opens by explaining that the Joseon dynasty once ruled Korea for 6 centuries. Over time, the direct political power of the royal family faded, but their descendants remained a privileged elite, wealthy, influential, and socially untouchable. Society still divides itself around those old bloodlines, and the descendants of that dynasty are treated almost like modern aristocracy. The story then moves to the prestigious Royal Academy, a school attended mainly by descendants of noble families. The spring exam rankings are posted and the entire campus gathers to see the results. At the top is San Hiju, a brilliant student who consistently outperforms everyone. Just below her is Minuk, a young man from the royal family who once again failed to take first place. He stares at the ranking with visible frustration, clearly unable to accept that someone outside the noble class continues to surpass him. Hiju arrives and immediately notices his expression. She mocks him openly, pointing out that despite all his advantages, he still loses to her every time. She teases him for working hard only to remain second and says victory over him has become boring because he no longer even puts up a challenge. Minuk tries to insult her background, reminding her that she is not from an aristocratic family. Hiju snaps back without fear, warning him to watch his words unless he wants to be humiliated in front of everyone. She even criticizes the way he wears his uniform, saying that he talks about nobility but cannot even carry himself properly. After delivering one insult after another, she leaves him standing there embarrassed and angry. Soon after, Hiju is summoned to the principal's office. At first he congratulates her for her academic achievements, but his tone quickly changes. He asks if she knows why the academy was created. She confidently answers that it was built to provide equal opportunity for talented students regardless of background. The principal disagrees and gives her an old artifact, an antique cup made by a famous inventor from a lower social class. His message is clear: even talented commoners are remembered only as tools that served the nobility. Realizing he is mocking her place in society, Hiju becomes furious. She leaves and throws the cup away in anger. The story jumps to the present. Hiju is now the CEO of Castle Beauty, a successful cosmetics company. During a tense board meeting, she scolds her executives for declining sales. Her competitors have surpassed them after using a famous actress in a marketing campaign. Hiju does not care how they did it, she only cares about results. She orders her team to contact the same actress or anyone else necessary to boost their brand. She then learns she has been invited to the king's birthday celebration. Rather than treating it as a formal duty, she sees it as a business opportunity. She orders her PR team to spread articles, videos, and posts across the internet so that her attendance becomes a trend and her company gains attention from the association with the royal family. On the way to the palace, her manager asks if she really plans to inherit the larger family company. Hiju replies that she has not decided, but letting people believe it could work in her favor. She understands the value of rumors and uses them strategically. Elsewhere, Grand Prince Yin is introduced. Grand Prince Yin has just returned from hunting. He is calm, intimidating, and clearly used to command. His attendants remind him about the king's birthday event and ask whether he prepared a gift. He casually replies that he spent the day dealing with blood and hunting and had no time. He seems uninterested in court appearances, but he is told attendance is not optional. At the palace, all royal guests appear in traditional formal attire. Then Hiju arrives wearing a striking red dress. This shocks everyone because only the king is permitted to wear red in the palace. Her dramatic entrance instantly attracts attention. She poses confidently for cameras, fully aware she's creating controversy. Her PR strategy works perfectly. Photos of her appearance spread online, and her company's products begin selling out almost immediately. Inside the event, several noblewomen gossip about her, calling her the illegitimate eldest daughter of Chairman Xiang. Hiju overhears them. Instead of confronting them directly, she crushes a glass in her hand and smiles coldly. The women are frightened and quickly leave. Her half-brother approaches and mocks her company's recent sales decline. Hiju responds sharply, telling him to worry about his own business. He demands respect as the older sibling, but she says respect must be earned. She reminds him that her company remains ahead of his and that he has no chance of matching her success. The royal dinner begins. The king is revealed to be only a child around 8 years old. Beside him sits the queen mother. One seat remains empty, Yin's. Though the king wears the crown, Yin effectively handles the responsibilities of governance because the child is too young to rule. Yin arrives late, still wearing his hunting clothes. Everyone is stunned. The queen mother criticizes him for his appearance, but he calmly says the hunting clothes were given by the king himself. She points out it is not hunting season. He replies that hunting has no season. He sits down and only then does everyone else begin eating. The little king lights up with joy upon seeing him, revealing their close bond. During the celebration, fireworks begin and the young king writes wishes for the future. He wishes health for his mother and Yin and happiness for the people. The contrast between his innocence and the political tension around him becomes clear. While watching fireworks by the lake, Hiju meets the Prime Minister Min. They already know each other. She mocks his traditional outfit, saying it looks ridiculous. He replies that as the head of the royal administration he must follow custom. He then compliments her business success and points out that she deliberately wore red, fully aware of palace rules. She challenges him, asking which law she broke. He warns her that controversy can become dangerous. Later, Prime Minister Min privately confronts Yin. He tells him not to disappear without informing security. Yin jokes, asking whether the Prime Minister fears someone may kill him. Min replies that he is more worried about the secretary who constantly worries over him. Then Yin unexpectedly asks about marriage. At first Min thinks he means his own marriage, but Yin clarifies he means his own. The Queen Mother keeps trying to arrange his marriage because once he marries, he would be expected to leave the palace. That would shift responsibilities to the Prime Minister. Yin asks Min to block the proposal using his political authority. Later that evening, Hiju wanders into a restricted palace section while searching for phone signal. There she encounters Yin alone. He demands to know who she is and why she entered a forbidden area. Hiju nervously explains she came by mistake and introduces herself. Yin notes that only people closely connected to the palace are allowed there, so her presence is suspicious. He steps closer, intimidating her, and says he will forget the incident if she leaves before he counts to 3. She asks if he means it. He says he can at least do that for a junior from the academy. Just as he reaches 3, an explosion shakes the palace. Panic erupts, people scream and run. Yin immediately freezes, haunted by memories of the previous king's death in a fire. He rushes toward the young king. Outside, the Queen Mother emerges safely with the little king. In front of everyone, she slaps Yin and accuses him of wanting another king to die. Her words shock everyone. The little king then calls for his mother, proving he is unharmed. Hiju watches in confusion, sensing there is far more to the royal family's past than people openly discuss. The fire is contained, security is tightened, and the Prime Minister orders the media suppressed to prevent rumors. No one was hurt, but he remains suspicious. 3 years earlier, the former king died in a similar fire. The timing is too convenient to ignore, and he suspects this was not an accident. Hiju leaves with her secretary. The secretary immediately asks whether Grand Prince Yin is safe, revealing obvious admiration for him. Hiju teases her for sounding like a fan. During the drive home, the secretary asks if Yin bullied her in school since she seems to dislike him. Hiju replies that no one could ever bully her, she simply does not like him. A flashback begins. At the academy years earlier, Hiju secretly sneaks to the archery range late at night to practice. She repeatedly misses the target. Suddenly Yin appears behind her. He catches her breaking rules and points out that being outside after curfew and using school property without permission are violations. Hiju counters by saying he is also there, so he should be punished too. Yin calmly shows an official approval letter. Hiju admits she stole the archery key from Minuk because he had access to better training and liked showing off. She says if others gain advantages through status, she will use any means necessary to keep up. Yin asks whether she is willing to lower herself to their methods. She answers bluntly that winning unfairly is still better than losing because of a lack of opportunity. As she leaves, she unexpectedly bows politely. Yin watches her and smiles slightly, impressed by her boldness. Back in the present, Hiju remembers that encounter and mutters that he was unbelievably rude, though her expression suggests that meeting left a stronger impression on her than she admits. The following day, the Queen Mother approaches Grand Prince Yin and apologizes for slapping him during the fire incident. Yin accepts her apology calmly and says that although the Prime Minister planned to investigate, he will handle the matter himself. The Queen Mother points out something that has been bothering her for a long time. Everyone in the palace seems more concerned about him than the actual king. During the previous night's chaos, instead of checking whether the young king was safe, many people worried about the small injury on Yin's face. She accuses him of standing where the king should stand. Yin insists he only fulfills his role as guardian and holds no true authority. But she disagrees. His influence over officials and nobles is so strong that a single word from him changes the entire atmosphere. To her, he has quietly become more powerful than the child on the throne. Her accusation brings back painful childhood memories. Yin remembers how even his own father constantly reminded him he was born only as a prince, never the crown prince. No matter how capable he was, the throne was never meant for him. Returning to the present, he asks what she truly wants. The Queen Mother says she wants him to remain loyal to the king. He replies that he already is. She then reveals her real request. If he truly supports the king, he should marry the woman she chooses, settle down, and step away from his current influence. At the same time, San Hiju is facing pressure at home. Her father brings her a marriage proposal, but she rejects it immediately. The man comes from a smaller company, and Hiju dismisses him as unworthy. She says she will only marry someone equal to her in status, wealth, and influence. Her half-brother and his wife use the opportunity to insult her, implying that someone with her background should be grateful for any proposal. They subtly remind her that she is the chairman's illegitimate daughter and should not act so proud. Hiju sees through their intentions. They want to remove her from the family's power structure by marrying her off. She refuses to play along. Meanwhile, Yeon discusses the marriage issue with Prime Minister Min. The Prime Minister is surprised because the Queen Mother had previously opposed forcing Yeon into marriage. The sudden change makes both of them suspicious. Something about her urgency feels calculated. As for Hiju, the pressure from her family leads her to a new idea. If they want her married, she will choose the partner herself and make that marriage advantageous. She starts reviewing profiles of wealthy businessmen, politicians, and elite heirs, but none seem impressive enough. She wants someone at her level or higher. Eventually, only one name feels worthy: Grand Prince Yeon. Soon after, Yeon leaves for his private residence. Outside, he encounters the Queen Mother's father. The older man asks whether leaving the palace will create security risks. Yeon sarcastically remarks that he expected the man to be happy about his departure, not concerned. After he leaves, the Queen Mother tells her father she suspects Yeon may have caused the fire. Her father immediately rejects the idea. He reminds her that Yeon has strong public support. After losing his parents and older brother, he stayed to protect the crown and raise his nephew as guardian. Because of that sacrifice, many people trust him deeply. The Queen Mother should not accuse him lightly. Back at Castle Beauty, news about Yeon is everywhere after the palace incident. Staff members are discussing him, and Hiju casually reads articles about him. As she studies his image and public reputation, she begins smiling. Then she shocks everyone by announcing that she intends to marry Yeon. Her secretary is stunned, but Hiju says a smart, rich, successful woman like her deserves only the best. In her eyes, Yeon is the perfect match. She formally sends a request for a royal audience. Yeon rejects it. She sends another. He rejects that too. She continues repeatedly, trying again and again, but every request is refused. At the palace, the Queen Mother is already angry because Yeon keeps avoiding every marriage candidate she selects. Then Hiju remembers something from the birthday night. Yeon called her his junior because they attended the same academy. She sends another request, this time identifying herself as his junior. That changes everything. When Yeon sees it, he pauses, smiles slightly, and accepts. Hiju arrives at his private residence carefully dressed, confident she has found the right approach. The palace spy immediately reports this meeting to the Queen Mother. When they sit face to face, Yeon jokingly asks which of her many names he should use since she submitted so many requests under different identities. Then he asks why she wanted to meet. Without hesitation, Hiju places a red envelope in front of him and says she came to propose marriage. She bluntly asks him to marry her. Yeon is genuinely shocked by her directness. A flashback reveals that the connection between them began long ago. After the nighttime archery incident at the academy, Hiju was terrified she would be expelled. Then a friend informed her that Yeon had quietly changed the school rules so the archery range would stay open to all students. He had made the system more equal without ever telling her. Another flashback shows an academy archery competition. Hiju and Minuk are on one team while Yeon competes on the opposite side. Minuk mocks Hiju's ability, but Yeon sharply tells him to be quiet. During the match, Yeon's team stays just 1 point ahead. His father, the king, watches but openly says he is disappointed in Yeon's performance. Yeon hears the criticism and says nothing. The final round arrives. Hiju's team reaches 110 points after her strong shot. Yeon takes the last arrow. Everyone watches. Before the result is shown, the memory ends. Back in the present, Yeon looks at Hiju's proposal and asks what exactly she offers. Hiju answers practically. She has wealth, status, intelligence, and beauty. She lists her strengths like terms in a business deal. She says arranged marriages are always based on family, reputation, and financial advantage, so she is presenting what matters. She adds that her half-brother is incompetent and will not interfere. She also says criticism does not affect her because, as an illegitimate daughter, she has endured insults all her life. Then she makes a surprising promise. She says she can act as a shield for him, Since people already criticize her, she can take all future blame too. If the marriage ends, she will accept the scandal and take responsibility for the divorce. Finally, she smiles and says she is beautiful, which should count as an advantage too. Outside, a palace maid secretly tries to listen to their conversation, but Yian's secretary catches her. At the same time, the Queen Mother continues reviewing noblewomen for Yian, unaware that someone else has already made a bold move. The next morning, Hiju arrives at work unusually excited. Her secretary asks whether Yian accepted. Hiju replies with disappointment that he refused. A flashback shows his exact response. Yian told her that he values something beyond money, beauty, or intelligence. She asked what it was. He answered by asking whether she could even give it if he explained. That answer left her thinking. Back in the office, the secretary asks what he meant. Hiju says he wants to marry for love. Her secretary calls that romantic, but Hiju refuses to give up. She believes he rejected her because she approached too formally. Since he dislikes rules and expectations, she decides he may actually prefer someone rebellious. Using her business connections, she obtains Yian's full schedule and begins appearing everywhere he goes. At the horse riding grounds, she suddenly appears and playfully says she missed him despite only meeting 2 days earlier. Yian asks how she found him. She jokes that he may feel trapped in the royal garden. But he might feel trapped around her too. Then she winks and leaves, deliberately making him uncomfortable. The following day she appears at a restaurant, then at a cat shelter, then during his jogging route, then while he is out driving. She starts showing up so often that Yian finally asks why she keeps following him. Hiju answers directly because he said he wants love and she intends to make him fall for her. She even makes exaggerated heart gestures toward him. Yian acts annoyed, but her persistence begins affecting him. Slowly, he becomes more aware of her presence. He starts paying attention to his clothes, appearance, and posture whenever he knows she might appear. Though he pretends indifference, her constant teasing is already changing him in ways he does not want to admit. The following day, the Queen Mother visits Yian and apologizes for striking him in anger during the palace incident. Yian responds calmly, saying the Prime Minister had wanted to investigate further, but he intends to resolve the matter himself. The Queen Mother explains that everyone in the palace worries only about him when their concern should be focused on the young king. She points out that even during the previous night's chaos, people were asking about the small cut on Yian's face instead of checking on the king's safety. Yian asks why she always treats him as if he is the problem. She answers that it is because he makes all the important decisions while the king is left in the background. Though Yian insists he only acts as the child king's guardian and has no real authority, she sees that everyone obeys him instantly, which makes his influence seem greater than the king's own power. Her words remind Yian of his childhood. Even when he performed perfectly, his father made it clear that he was never meant to inherit the throne because he was not the crown prince. That memory still shapes him. In the present, he asks what she truly wants from him. She says she wants him to stay loyal to the king, and the way to prove it is by marrying someone she chooses. She believes that once he marries, he will leave the palace and reduce his influence there. At the same time, Hiju's father introduces her to a marriage proposal, but she immediately rejects the man. She dislikes him because his company is too small and she sees him as beneath her standards. Her half-brother and sister-in-law mock her, suggesting that such a match is suitable for someone with her status as an illegitimate daughter. Hiju instantly understands their intentions. They want to push her out of the family by forcing an unsuitable marriage. She refuses firmly and says she will never marry a man she does not respect. Elsewhere, Yian discusses the marriage issue with Prime Minister Min. Min is surprised because the Queen Mother previously opposed the idea. Yian also finds her sudden insistence suspicious. At the same time, Hiju begins looking for a husband herself. She reviews profiles of wealthy businessmen and politicians, searching for someone with enough power and status to benefit her future. However, no candidate seems worthy in her eyes. She becomes frustrated, saying she wants someone who truly matches her level. Later, Yian leaves for his private residence outside the palace. On the way, he meets the Queen Mother's father, who questions whether it is safe for him to leave palace protection. Yian responds with irony, saying he thought the older man would be happy to see him leave. Meanwhile, the Queen Mother privately tells her father she suspects Yian may have been involved in the palace fire. Her father dismisses the suspicion, reminding her that Yian is respected by the people because he sacrificed his own ambitions to protect the young king after losing his own parents and brother. Back at her company, Hiju sees articles about Yian trending online. Reading them, she realizes he is not as cold as she once thought. Suddenly she makes a surprising declaration to her staff: she wants to marry Yian. Her secretary is shocked and warns her against such a reckless idea, but Hiju confidently says that for someone like her, wealthy, beautiful, and ambitious, he is the best possible partner. She begins sending requests for a royal audience, but Yian rejects every single one. She keeps trying repeatedly, only to be denied each time. Then she remembers that during their meeting at the palace, Yian called her Junior, referring to their old school connection. This time she sends the request under that identity. When Yian sees it, he pauses, smiles slightly, and accepts. At his private residence, they finally meet properly. He comments on how many names she used in her previous requests and asks directly why she wanted to see him. Hiju calmly places a red envelope in front of him and says she has come to propose marriage. Yian is genuinely stunned. A flashback reveals that after the old archery incident, Hiju had feared punishment for sneaking out to practice. Instead, she learned Yian had changed the school rules so the archery range would remain open to all students, giving equal opportunity. This made her see him differently. The memory continues to a competition at the Royal Academy. Hiju and Minuk are on one team while Yian leads the rival house. The scores are close throughout. Yian's father watches but is openly dissatisfied with Yian's performance. In the final round, Hiju scores enough to put her team ahead. All eyes turn to Yian. The result of his final shot is left hidden for a moment. Back in the present, Yian asks what exactly she offers in this proposal. Hiju says bluntly that she has money. He laughs, expecting something more original. She explains that in arranged marriages, wealth, status, and family are what matter. She lists her strengths: intelligence, beauty, strong character, and financial power. She even mentions that her brother's incompetence would not become his burden. She also says criticism does not affect her because she has faced insults all her life due to her birth status. She promises she can protect him from scandals and even take responsibility if they divorce in the future. When he asks if there is anything else, she smiles and adds that she is beautiful too, which should be enough. Outside, palace staff try to listen to their conversation while the queen mother continues searching for another bride for Yian. The next day, Hiju arrives at work excited. Her secretary asks whether he accepted. Hiju replies that he rejected her. She recalls his exact answer. Yian said there is one thing he values more than wealth, beauty, or intelligence. When she asked what it was, he said it was something she might not be able to give. Hiju later explains to her secretary that Yian wants to marry for love. Rather than giving up, she becomes more determined. She believes his rebellious personality means he will eventually be attracted to someone equally bold. Using her connections, she acquires his full schedule and begins appearing wherever he goes. She meets him at a horse-riding field, joking that she missed him after only 2 days. She flirts shamelessly, making him visibly uncomfortable. She continues following him everywhere: restaurants, shelters, jogging routes, and private outings. Whenever he questions her, she reminds him he said he wanted to marry for love, so she is giving him a chance to fall for her. Her teasing becomes increasingly bold, and although he pretends to be unaffected, he begins paying more attention to his appearance before seeing her. Meanwhile, Hiju is forced onto a blind date at an art gallery. She deliberately behaves outrageously to scare the man away, openly talking about money laundering through her art foundation and asking when they should marry. The man is stunned and quickly loses interest. At that moment, Yian arrives and sees them together. Though he says nothing, he clearly dislikes the sight. His assistant notices and comments that Hiju found another candidate immediately after being rejected. Yian denies that the queen mother arranged the meeting, saying she would never choose Hiju. His assistant remarks that Hiju's personality is similar to Yian's. Both are stubborn and refuse to lose. Yian smiles because he knows it is true. A darker flashback reveals the death of Yian's brother, the former king. The king had secretly wanted to step down and had written a letter, but the queen mother destroyed it in anger. Soon after, the palace caught fire, killing him. Yian arrived too late to save him, and ever since he has suffered nightmares and insomnia. In the present, Yian's health worsens. The young king must attend an award ceremony without him and feels nervous. Hiju is also there. The child king is left alone while his guards ignore him, but Yian suddenly arrives after receiving a call from the child himself. The boy is relieved and proudly walks onto the stage holding Yian's hand. At the ceremony, Hiju receives the Best Entrepreneur Award. The young king presents it and Yian hands her flowers. She quietly tells him she missed him. He blushes slightly but hides it. Later, she posts photos online with hashtags about him, further fueling rumors. Prime Minister Min hears about the event and goes to congratulate her, revealing he also has feelings for her. At the same hotel, Yeon collapses from illness. His assistant panics and tells Hiju. She immediately calls a trusted doctor and helps arrange treatment but asks everyone to keep it secret. The Queen Mother, meanwhile, becomes angry because even at the public event, attention's centered on Yeon instead of the king. She sees the child as weak, just like his father. When the Queen Mother suddenly arrives at the hotel, the assistant hides Hiju inside Yeon's room. Yeon appears in casual clothing after bathing, surprising everyone. The Queen Mother notices a woman's wallet and storms into the room, discovering Hiju there. Furious, she orders Yeon to return to the palace and explain himself. The next morning, rumors explode. News spreads online about an affair, engagement, and even pregnancy. Hiju simply laughs while reading the articles. The Queen Mother had planted these rumors to destroy her, but Hiju remains calm. Yeon calls Hiju to meet. He apologizes and asks what she wants. She gives him a red cloth bundle containing the honor flower from the old archery competition. She reveals she knew he intentionally lost that day so her team could win. He admits he realized she noticed long ago. Hiju finally explains why she wants this marriage. Her life has been a constant struggle because her half-brother, though incompetent, is favored as the legitimate son. His marriage into a powerful family strengthened his position further. That is why she wants to marry someone equally powerful. Yeon asks if she only wants his title. She says yes. He tells her to prepare because becoming his wife means facing the scrutiny of the entire country. She accepts confidently. Then he gives her a challenge: change public opinion about the scandal. She accepts easily and activates her PR team. That evening, Yeon takes her to the palace in front of the media. He holds her hand publicly, creating headlines everywhere. Her team floods social media with articles, videos, and even beauty tutorials about how her appearance captured Yeon's heart. When the Queen Mother calls Yeon to confront him, he sends Hiju to rest in his room. She demands that he deny the relationship. Instead, he calmly says he came to confirm it and announce marriage plans. She is furious. When he returns to his room, Hiju is feeding noodles to the young king. He sends the boy away and explains that the Queen Mother will never approve. Hiju says she expected that. She jokingly asks whose side he would take if she fought with the Queen Mother. He says hers because people must believe he loves her enough to stand against his own family. He even gives her his royal identification for emergencies. That night they stay in the same room, separated by cushions, but their argument over the blanket makes the palace staff misunderstand the situation completely. The following morning, Hiju arrives at her office wearing the same outfit she had worn at the palace, making it obvious to everyone that she had come directly from staying there. She wants the rumor to spread, and as expected, her employees immediately start whispering. At the palace, the young king is still troubled by nightmares connected to his father's death, but Yeon stays by his side and reassures him, calming his fears. At the office, Prime Minister Min visits Hiju and asks if she truly intends to marry Yeon. She answers without hesitation that she does. Since the Queen Mother will never willingly approve the union, she reminds Min that he holds one of the key powers in the approval process and may eventually be forced to decide. Min is visibly unsettled. As public gossip grows, some of Yeon's obsessive fans confront Hiju in public and throw eggs at her. Instead of reacting emotionally, she remains calm and composed, which only makes the incident spread further online. Meanwhile, Min goes to church and privately admits to himself that he does not want Hiju to marry Yeon. His feelings for her are becoming impossible to ignore. Later, Hiju returns to her office and finds her father waiting for her. Their relationship has always been distant and painful. In the past, when Hiju tried to approach him as a child, his first wife had suffered greatly from the affair that led to Hiju's birth, and because of that he never showed Hiju affection. He allowed her to live under his roof, but he never truly accepted her as family. Even so, she worked hard for years, proving her value by helping expand the family business. Now her father tells her to leave the company. Hiju refuses and challenges him. When he threatens to remove her from the family entirely, she remains defiant and says he can try because she no longer fears that threat. After he leaves, the weight of the confrontation finally reaches her and she sits alone, deeply hurt. Soon after, Yeon calls. He immediately senses from her voice that something is wrong. Not long later, her doorbell rings and she is shocked to see him standing there with food he personally brought for her. The simple gesture catches her off guard. They share a warm moment and she tells him everything that happened that day, including the attack from his fans. His first reaction is not embarrassment but concern, asking whether she was injured. His sincerity makes her pause. At the palace, the Queen Mother begins investigating the birthday incident after discovering footage showing Hiju entering the restricted area shortly before the fire. She becomes convinced Hiju may be connected to it and decides to use this against her. Ian later brings Hiju to his private residence where the staff greet her politely. That night they talk more openly. He tells her that he had reasons for agreeing to the marriage proposal. First was her wealth, second was her beauty. Hiju points out that she had already listed those qualities herself, then asks about the third reason. Ian explains that he believes she could understand him in ways others cannot. He says that if one day everyone stands against him, she might be the one person able to remain by his side. That honesty deepens their connection. The next day, while Ian is occupied with royal duties, the Queen Mother sends guards to bring Hiju in for questioning. Hiju stays calm and cleverly sends a message to Ian. He arrives quickly and confronts the Queen Mother. She accuses Hiju of disrespecting the palace by wearing red to the birthday event and entering a restricted area before the fire. She claims these facts are enough to destroy her reputation. Ian unexpectedly says that if such logic is being used, then he should also be investigated since he was there too. His response makes the atmosphere tense. At that moment, Hiju pretends to faint. Ian immediately lifts her into his arms and tells the Queen Mother that if she has further questions, she can bring them directly to his office. He takes Hiju away. Once they return, she continues pretending to be unconscious until he tells her to stop acting. She asks jokingly whether she will be sent to prison and if he is worried. He tells her not to be, because the Queen Mother cannot act against her directly. Hiju laughs and comments that his dramatic defense of her must already have created endless gossip in the palace. He claims palace staff do not gossip, but in reality, everyone there is already talking about how deeply the Grand Prince must care for her. That evening, he drives her home. Before leaving, she tells him to take care of himself. Later that night, they talk on the phone in a much more relaxed way. Ian tells her he is assigning security to protect her. She teases him, saying he is acting like a man completely in love even before marriage. To her surprise, he simply agrees. Not long after, she drives to the palace and secretly calls him outside. He comes, amused by the risk they are taking. She says that if they keep meeting like this, everyone will think they are genuinely in love. She has brought tea and supplements for him, wanting to help him sleep better. He asks why she bothered, and she reminds him he never had a proper follow-up after fainting. Her concern touches him. She confidently asks whether he now thinks she would make a supportive wife. He admits that she would. Their conversation turns quiet and they share a kiss. Then, without embarrassment, Hiju points out that a reporter is hiding nearby taking photos. She casually suggests they kiss again from a better angle so the pictures will look more convincing. She even begins explaining the best angle for photographs, turning the intimate moment into one of her strategic plans. Ian cannot stop smiling at her strange honesty and begins looking at her with real affection. The next morning, the palace is buzzing because photos of the kiss have spread everywhere. Ministers discuss the scandal before Ian even enters. When he arrives, he declares that an official statement must be released. Some ministers advise him to deny everything to protect his reputation. One even says Hiju is not noble enough, mentioning her birth status. Before the insult can continue, Prime Minister Min cuts in and supports issuing a controlled statement. He suggests confirming that they are only in the early stage of dating and that marriage is not under discussion yet. This would calm the media without making promises. The proposal is accepted. The Queen Mother's father suggests removing Hiju from Ian's private residence. Ian refuses, claiming it is safer for her to remain there. He says no one knows whether they may separate or marry, so protecting her is his responsibility. Min then proposes that if Hiju stays at the residence, Ian himself must remain in the palace to avoid further rumors. The official statement is released, confirming only that the two are seeing each other. The Queen Mother is furious, but her father promises to manage the situation. The news spreads on television. Hiju watches it at work. Ian later visits her office and she tells him she expected this exact outcome. That is why she had suggested kissing again for better media coverage. She says their first kiss looked too innocent, almost childish, and that real public attention only comes from something bold enough to dominate headlines. As they talk, Ian notices her lips and remembers the kiss, becoming distracted. Hiju holds his face and says the faster they marry, the faster they can eventually divorce. Ian explains that royal marriage is a long process with many formal stages. She replies that she does not have time to waste. She decides to take him somewhere and prepares carefully, wearing a special dress. But Ian says he prefers something simpler, so she changes. During the drive, he comments that the previous outfit was too much. She thinks he means himself, but he clarifies he was talking about her. She jokes that she looks too beautiful, making him laugh. She takes him to a baseball game. She has prepared matching jerseys, but Yin initially refuses because he represents the royal family. When she gives the extra jersey to his assistant instead, Yin unexpectedly takes it back for himself. At the stadium, Hiju's half-brother and sister-in-law appear and act overly friendly now that she is with Yin. Prime Minister Min throws the ceremonial first pitch. Hiju cheers loudly for him, which makes Yin visibly jealous. Min sits beside them, increasing the awkwardness. Hiju pushes Yin slightly to make room and he becomes sulky. She offers him food, but Min remarks that a grand prince cannot casually eat street snacks. Hiju asks if she will also have to live under such restrictions after marriage. Suddenly, the stadium kiss camera focuses on them. The crowd begins chanting for a kiss. Yin initially refuses, but the cheers grow louder. He reminds Hiju that she was the one rushing the marriage, so she should take responsibility now. Embarrassed, she writes a message on her phone saying a grand prince must maintain dignity and cannot kiss publicly like that. He reads it and smiles. After the game, reporters surround them. Hiju continues waving and complains that the photos will turn out badly if they are blocked so closely. Later, Min invites them to dinner. Hiju tells Yin he can return to the palace, but he insists on coming too. At dinner, Yin still avoids eating freely. Min uses this to point out that marrying into royalty means endless restrictions. When Hiju asks what kinds, Yin recalls a painful memory. As a child, he once wore his older brother's royal clothes and his father slapped him, saying red belonged only to the crown prince. That humiliation still remains with him, so he says nothing and quietly serves food to Hiju instead. Back at the palace, a senior court lady begins scolding Hiju, saying she must learn royal manners immediately. The next day she arrives to start formal etiquette lessons, but Yin interrupts and rescues Hiju with an excuse. Hiju says she can handle it herself, but the lessons continue. Shopping for formal attire and strict palace training begin, leading to many funny situations because Hiju refuses to behave like a traditional royal bride. Eventually, when Yin arrives, she immediately hugs him and begs him to save her, and he dismisses the court lady, unable to hide his amusement. In the next part of the story, the emotional and political tensions grow even stronger, especially after the car accident that nearly harmed both the young king and Hiju. The incident begins to affect not only their personal relationship but also the balance inside the royal family. The following day, during a lesson about royal history, Hiju learns more about the tragedies that shaped Yin's life. She discovers that he lost close family members in a palace 5 years earlier and that his past has been filled with responsibility, grief, and public pressure. Hearing all of this changes how she sees him. Until now, she viewed their engagement mostly as a strategic arrangement, but after learning about the pain he carried for years, she starts feeling genuine sympathy. Once she returns to her room, she searches old records and articles about the royal incidents and realizes how lonely Yin's life truly has been. She wants to call him immediately, but at that moment, he is occupied with the Queen Mother, who has arranged another meeting with a noblewoman as part of her continued efforts to stop Hiju from entering the royal family. Yin instantly understands what the Queen Mother is trying to do. Instead of openly arguing, he uses a polite excuse, saying he is not feeling well and cannot meet anyone outside for now. In reality, this move prevents her from setting him up with other candidates and quietly limits her influence. Later, once he reaches his office, he calls Hiju. She reassures him, telling him that in any conflict, husband and wife should stand together on the same side. Her words surprise him and make him unexpectedly happy. For the first time, he begins to think that this arrangement may be becoming something real. Meanwhile, the young king is attending school. He becomes jealous of ordinary children who get to play freely, since his royal position keeps him isolated. Prime Minister Min notices this and takes him to meet Hiju, hoping she can cheer him up. She treats him like a normal child, playing games with him and making him laugh. After winning one of the games, the young king excitedly asks to ride in her famous red sports car, a luxury vehicle that is said to be unique in the country. The court lady refuses because of security rules, but the boy starts crying and insisting. Eventually, everyone gives in. Hiju drives while Min sits nearby, but suddenly the brakes stop responding. The car begins speeding uncontrollably. Panic spreads inside the vehicle as they realize something is wrong. Min helps Hiju stay calm while she struggles to steer. The car races toward a bridge and the situation turns critical. Just before disaster strikes, another vehicle appears directly in front of them. It deliberately blocks the road, forcing Hiju's car to crash into it and stop. When the dust settles, Yin steps out of the other car. He intentionally risked his own safety to stop her vehicle and protect everyone inside. All of them are rushed to the royal hospital. The Queen Mother hears that there has been an accident and immediately arrives. She first asks about the king, concerned about public reaction as much as his health. Min informs her that the young king has only minor scratches. Then she learns that Ian has been taken into surgery because his shoulder was badly injured from the impact. At the same time, security officers report that pictures of the accident are already spreading online. Since Hiju's red car is famous and easily recognized, the public quickly identifies it. The Queen Mother overhears that Hiju was in the car with the king and becomes furious. She prepares to blame Hiju directly, but Min stops her. He explains that if the truth comes out that the king was in Hiju's car and Ian crashed into it to save him, the scandal would damage the royal family's reputation far more than anyone realizes. Reluctantly, she backs down for the moment. Ian's surgery succeeds. Doctors say he will recover. While he is still unconscious, the young king visits Hiju's room. He feels guilty and apologizes, believing the accident happened because he insisted on riding in her car. Hiju regains consciousness during his visit. Even though she is injured herself, her first concern is whether he is safe. This touches the young king deeply. As soon as she hears that Ian was hurt, Hiju rushes to his room. She ignores everyone's attempts to stop her. The moment she sees him, she becomes emotional and scolds him. She asks what he was thinking risking himself that way. Her anger is really fear. She gently touches his face, noticing cuts and bruises, and asks how he can appear in public with injuries like that. Ian points out that she was also unconscious, but she dismisses her own condition. When he notices the bandage on her forehead, he asks her to come closer. He carefully checks whether she is hurt anywhere else. She tells him not to do something so reckless again. She says she wants him to stay safe no matter what. He replies that she should stop putting herself in dangerous situations if she expects that from him. She says she cannot promise that. He answers that then he cannot promise either. The exchange leaves both of them smiling awkwardly. She jokes that the media will love this story, the Grand Prince risking his life to save his fiancée. That prediction comes true almost immediately. News spreads across the country. However, because Hiju's car was speeding and breaking regulations, her company's stock begins to fall. At the hospital, her secretary visits and informs her of the financial damage. She also says the chairman wants to see her as soon as she is discharged. Hiju asks if her father knows she was injured. The answer is yes, yet neither he nor her brother called once to check on her. This hurts her more than she admits. When her secretary asks how the accident happened, Hiju reveals that the brakes failed. The secretary suggests releasing dashcam footage to clear Hiju's name, but Hiju refuses. Since the king was secretly in the car, that evidence would create a bigger scandal. The secretary then begs her to reconsider marrying Ian, saying everything has gone wrong since this relationship began. Hiju insists that Ian saved her life and that he is not the problem. At that moment, Min overhears them discussing the marriage. Once the secretary leaves, he confronts Hiju privately. He asks whether the relationship is real or only a contract. Hiju honestly says it is a mutually beneficial arrangement and nothing unusual for powerful families. Min becomes upset. He warns her that being involved with the palace is far more dangerous than she understands. When she admits that status is still her main reason for marrying Ian, Min suddenly says something unexpected. If all she wants is status and power, then she should marry him instead. His confession shocks her. He is no longer speaking as a politician, but as someone who genuinely cares for her. Before she can answer, events shift again. The Queen Mother brings the young king back to the palace despite medical advice that he should rest. Since Ian must resume official duties, she refuses to let rumors spread that the king is absent while the Grand Prince is active. Hiju later tries calling Ian, but he does not answer. She becomes disappointed, thinking he should at least have told her he was discharged. Then her secretary mentions she saw Ian outside her hospital room earlier, while Hiju was talking to Min. At that moment, Hiju realizes something troubling. Ian may have overheard Min's confession, the part where Min asked her to marry him instead. Suddenly, his silence makes sense. For the first time since their engagement began, a misunderstanding forms between them, not because of politics, but because real feelings are starting to grow, and neither of them knows how to deal with them. After the hospital incident, Hiju goes to Ian's private residence, hoping to talk to him directly and clear the growing misunderstanding between them. However, the staff tells her that the Grand Prince has already ordered her to leave and return home. She tries calling him several times, but he deliberately ignores her calls. As she turns to leave, one of the attendants stops her and says Ian has also requested the return of the royal identification card he had given her earlier. The gesture feels cold and final. Hiju quietly hands it back and leaves, hiding how hurt she is. Soon it is revealed that Ian had indeed overheard her conversation with Prime Minister Min in the hospital. He heard Min confess and also heard Hiju admit that she originally approached the marriage because of status and influence. Although he understands her reasons, hearing it directly creates distance. Later that night, Hiju sends him a message saying that if he has something to say, he should tell her openly instead of avoiding her. The next day, he summons her to the palace. Before she reaches his office, she crosses paths with the Queen Mother. The older woman speaks with a smile that hides mockery, telling Hiju that it is fortunate she never had to waste time teaching her royal customs because not everyone can understand such things. The insult is subtle but obvious. Hiju says nothing and continues to Yian's office. Once inside, she confronts him immediately. She asks whether he sent her away because of the Queen Mother or because of what he heard between her and Min. He avoids answering and instead explains that someone tampered with her car, causing the accident. Investigators are trying to find the person responsible. Then, without emotion, he says he has changed his decision and wants to cancel their marriage plan. Hiju is stunned. She argues that the accident was not her fault, she was a victim too. But Yian explains that this is exactly why they should stop. He says she breaks rules openly, attracts enemies, and already lives under public scrutiny. If someone is willing to attack her before they are even officially engaged, the royal family could become a target once the marriage is announced. His words sound logical, but to Hiju they feel like rejection. She leaves his office deeply hurt and immediately calls her secretary, ordering her to investigate the service center that handled her car. Later, Yian's assistant asks him why he truly ended the marriage. At that point, a painful memory resurfaces. As a child, Yian once asked his mother to stop and buy fried chicken on the way home because his older brother wanted it. During that trip, a truck struck their car, killing his mother. Ever since, he has blamed himself for changing her route that night. Seeing Hiju's brakes fail brought that trauma back. When he threw his own car in front of hers to stop it, he acted without thinking. The fear of losing someone again overwhelmed him. He believes staying close to him only puts Hiju in danger. Min later informs him that the sabotage may not have targeted only Hiju. The real target could have been the young king who happened to be in her car. That possibility makes Yian even more determined to protect her by creating distance. Still, he cannot simply cut ties. To soften the blow, he sends her an invitation to the prestigious inner court banquet, a private event traditionally attended only by noble women and female members of the royal family. It is an honor that would greatly raise her status publicly. His assistant personally delivers the invitation, along with a pink traditional dress chosen to avoid clashing with the Queen Mother's white attire. Hiju immediately understands that Yian arranged this to protect her public image after the breakup, but instead of being grateful, she rejects the invitation. She sends the dress back and refuses to attend. Her secretary and Yian's aide are both surprised. Meanwhile, it is revealed that before speaking to Hiju, the Queen Mother had already met Yian. She noticed that he had sent Hiju away and assumed he was ending things. Yian confirms that he cancelled the marriage to keep her safe. The Queen Mother supports the decision but insists Hiju's name must be completely separated from the royal family. Yian agrees on one condition: she must be invited to the inner court banquet, so her reputation does not suffer because of him. The Queen Mother reluctantly accepts. After that, Yian repeatedly tries to contact Hiju, but she refuses every invitation. At the same time, Hiju's secretary discovers that the mechanic who serviced her car has vanished. Hiju tells her to check the convenience store across from the garage, assuming he must have left some trace there. She refuses to let the matter go. Eventually, Yian messages her again and she finally agrees to meet. He asks why she refuses to attend the banquet. He tells her he arranged everything and promises she will be safe. Hiju responds with sharp honesty. She says he risked his life to save her, but now he is pushing her away because he is afraid. If danger appears, he retreats instead of facing it. She accuses him of being a coward. To make her point, she grabs a decorative bow and points it toward one of his beloved cats, threatening to shoot. Yian instantly rushes to stop her and snatches the bow away, injuring his hand in the process. Hiju grabs his wounded hand and wraps it with cloth. Then she tells him this is what protection looks like, standing in front of danger, not stepping away from it. She says he has learned only to retreat, while she has spent her entire life fighting against people stronger than herself. She reminds him that she never asked for his love, only his status. Since this is a practical arrangement, he has no reason to surrender because others disapprove. She tells him not to bow to anyone else's wishes. If they both stop backing down, they can each get what they want. Her words affect him deeply. At the same time, Prime Minister Min keeps thinking about their earlier conversation. He remembers asking her to marry him instead and her blunt answer, that his political power is temporary while Yian's royal title is permanent even after divorce. The honesty stings, but it also makes him realize how determined she is. That evening, Yian calls Hiju and asks her one more time to attend the banquet. She apologizes for hurting his hand. He apologizes for breaking his promise and trying to cancel the marriage. Their conversation softens the tension between them. The next day, she finally agrees. Before the banquet, he secretly meets her outside. As they walk, she deliberately moves behind him, pretending to practice walking according to rank. She jokes that since she is known for leading trends, maybe she will someday start walking in front of everyone. Yian asks how she learned to lead people. She says simply that he only needs to walk beside her and she will teach him. When the banquet begins, the Queen Mother enters first, greeting noble guests. Then Hiju arrives wearing full white instead of the pink dress Yin sent. Since white is associated with the Queen Mother, the choice is clearly provocative. The Queen Mother comments on it immediately, but because media cameras are nearby, she is forced to smile and pretend not to mind. During the ceremony, Hiju stands in the back under the hot sun. The Queen Mother sarcastically tells her to step forward. At that moment, Yin appears. He walks directly to Hiju, takes her hand, and says he came to walk with her so she can teach him how to lead. Together, they leave the group and walk at the front, hand in hand, while everyone watches. As he walks beside her, Yin silently repeats her words to himself: no more bowing, no more backing down, and no more compromise. It marks a turning point in his character. A flashback follows from their academy days. After Hiju won the archery competition, she continued practicing alone. Yin secretly watched from a distance, but when she noticed him, he pretended he had just arrived. He complimented her performance, but she asked if he wanted credit for letting her win. He denied it, saying it was simply praise. She acted indifferent, bowed politely, and walked away. He wanted to stop her but could not think of a reason. Then Prime Minister Min entered, revealing he had seen everything. When Yin asked how well he knew Hiju, Min casually replied that they lived in the same dormitory and were quite close. When Yin asked what she was like, Min smiled and said she was very beautiful. Yin instinctively agreed before realizing what he had admitted. For the first time, it became clear that even back then, he had already started noticing her. A prestigious academy tied to the old royal system reveals its exam rankings, where Song Hiju once again takes first place, defeating Minuk, a royal family member. He is annoyed and Hiju openly mocks him, showing her fearless nature despite not being from a noble family. She has no patience for social hierarchy and never hesitates to challenge those above her. Even the principal subtly reminds her that, despite her talent, she comes from a lower status background. Insulted, she rejects his condescending attitude. Years later, Hiju has become the successful CEO of Castle Beauty. She is ambitious, sharp, and obsessed with maintaining her company's top position. At a royal celebration for the young king, she intentionally wears red, the color reserved for royalty, causing an immediate scandal. Her PR team spreads the images everywhere, turning the controversy into free promotion. She knows exactly how to use public attention to benefit herself. At the event, she encounters Grand Prince Yin, the king's guardian and the real center of power in the palace. Although the official king is still a child, Yin manages most royal duties. Hiju and Yin have history from their school days when he quietly changed academy rules so she could practice fairly, even though she had broken them. Back then, he had already begun noticing her boldness and determination. After a fire breaks out during the celebration, old trauma resurfaces. Years earlier, the former king died in a similar incident and Yin is haunted by the event. The Queen Mother blames him for interfering too much in royal matters, believing he has taken the king's place. She pressures him to marry someone of her choosing to limit his influence. Hiju, meanwhile, rejects a marriage proposal arranged by her family. Her father and relatives constantly look down on her because she is an illegitimate daughter. Although she has built the family company into a success, they still treat her as inferior and hope to remove her from the family through marriage. Tired of their control, Hiju decides she will choose her own partner, someone powerful enough to secure her position permanently. After researching politicians and businessmen, she decides Grand Prince Yin is the best possible match. She requests meetings with him repeatedly, but he refuses every time. Finally, she sends a request using the title Junior, referencing their academy connection, and he accepts. When they meet, she directly proposes marriage. She explains that she is rich, intelligent, beautiful, and thick-skinned enough to endure criticism. She even promises that after 3 years she will take the blame for the divorce. Yin is surprised but rejects her, saying he values love above money and status. Hiju refuses to give up. She begins following him everywhere: horse riding grounds, restaurants, jogging routes, shelters, making sure he notices her. Her playful flirting slowly affects him, even though he tries to remain calm. He starts caring more about his appearance and begins thinking about her often. Eventually, a scandal pushes them closer. After Hiju helps Yin when he collapses from poor health, the Queen Mother manipulates the situation so rumors spread that the two are secretly involved. Fake stories about pregnancy and marriage circulate online. Instead of panicking, Hiju sees opportunity. She meets Yin again and offers him a symbolic gift, the award she won in an academy archery match. It is revealed that Yin intentionally lost that match to let her win, and she has known for years. Hiju explains the real reason she wants to marry him. She has spent her whole life fighting for recognition while her incompetent half-brother is favored simply because he is legitimate. She wants the protection and status that only marriage into the royal family can give. Yin finally agrees, but only if she can repair public opinion around them. She handles the media perfectly, turning the scandal into public support. At the palace, he publicly confirms their relationship and announces marriage plans, angering the queen mother. Though their relationship begins as a strategic arrangement, living together changes things. Hiju deliberately acts like she spent nights at his residence to strengthen rumors. Yin begins openly defending her, even against the queen mother, while Hiju unexpectedly starts caring for him, bringing medicine, checking on his health, and supporting him emotionally. Their bond deepens after a dangerous car accident. The young king insists on riding in Hiju's unique red sports car, but the brakes fail. Yin risks his own life to stop the vehicle with his car, severely injuring himself. Hiju, shaken, realizes how much he means to her. The accident reveals someone is targeting either the king or Yin, and their marriage becomes politically dangerous. Because of this, Yin briefly tries to cancel the marriage to protect Hiju. She refuses to accept his retreat. She tells him protecting someone means facing danger together, not running away. Her words change him. For the first time, he decides to stop obeying palace pressure and to stand by his own choices. At an elite royal banquet, Hiju again breaks tradition by wearing white instead of the outfit chosen for her. Yin publicly joins her and walks beside her, showing the palace he supports her no matter what. During a formal ball, he surprises everyone by proposing with his late mother's ring. Since the young king gives them his blessing in front of the public, the marriage becomes politically impossible to oppose. As wedding preparations begin, they draft a legal contract for divorce after 3 years, but their emotions become increasingly real. Hiju comforts Yin when the queen mother provokes him about his dead brother. He starts opening up and they spend more time together away from palace rules. During one outing, they accidentally fall while on a yacht and kiss. The moment changes everything. Both become awkward afterward because they realize their feelings are no longer fake. Soon, Yin openly admits he likes her, even telling Prime Minister Min, who has secretly loved Hiju for years. Hiju is flustered but happy. She transfers her company shares to her brother before the wedding, making everyone realize how valuable she truly was to the business. She enters the marriage determined to prove herself beyond family politics. Their wedding becomes a national event. Hiju is officially titled Grand Princess, but during the ceremony she suddenly collapses. Doctors discover she was poisoned with a heart medication overdose. It is later revealed the poison was intended for Yin, but Hiju accidentally drank from his goblet after they switched cups. Yin is devastated and launches the first full palace investigation in history. Staff and royal members are interrogated. He publicly declares that anyone who harms his wife will face his wrath. Hiju survives, and while recovering, the two grow even closer. Yin admits he thought he had lost her. She confesses that if something had happened to him, she would have been completely alone. Their relationship becomes genuine. After returning to palace life, Hiju adapts to her role while still breaking rules in her usual style. Yin supports her at every step, often teasing her while acting as her protector. During an academy event, however, everything changes when their secret 3-year marriage contract is leaked to the media. The press surrounds them and their carefully built image is suddenly at risk, leaving both facing a new crisis together.